Hello and welcome to another episode of The Highlight Reel. My name is Nick Lynch.
And I'm Ben Heltzer.
And today we will be covering Week 7 of the NFL season, including a quick check-in on our New York teams, the underwhelming Super Bowl rematch, and our Week 8 power rankings and our picks for Game of the Week. So to start off the show, we will be going over the team in blue in New York. The Saquon Barkley returns to MetLife Stadium and drops 2 touchdowns on his former team.
Yeah, we all knew this was going to happen. Saquon had this game marked on his calendar all year. It must suck as a Giants fan to see, your star player that you let go come back and drop, I think, over 100 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns, 2 receiving touchdowns, and another rushing touchdown on top of that. You had to have known this was coming.
Yeah, as a Giants fan, it's, sad to see Saquon succeed on another team, but also it kind of makes me feel happy for him that he gets to play well on a good team that may or may not win the Super Bowl, but is still a very good team. So now to the team in green, the New York Jets. They continue their slump in that Sunday night loss against the Steelers. The Jets had the lead at halftime, and they just, Aaron Rodgers did not play well.
Because acquiring Davante Adams was supposed to make them better.
Yeah.
That's why they went out and got him to pair back up with Aaron Rodgers. And I get that, they just they got him pretty recently. Maybe he's not fully adjusted to the system yet, but he was borderline ineffective, borderline useless in that game. Mm-hmm. And it didn't help that Pittsburgh actually looked really good with Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
But still, I don't know where you go from here if you're the Jets, because now you're still in third place in the division. You're now 3 games behind the Bills, who have the lead, and they have the tiebreaker of you as of right now because of the head-to-head matchup. So at this point, I think a division title is slowly, leaving the picture, and now you just got to hope for a wild card spot.
Yeah, so if you want to hear a timeline of Davante Adams this week, he lost to the Steelers last Sunday, got traded to the Jets, and then lost to the Steelers again. But the Jets are listening to calls for Garrett Wilson to be going on at the trade deadline, but they told us that they would remain quiet at the deadline. I don't think they're going to make a lot of moves.
No, probably not.
Nah. So we move on to our power rankings now. The top 5 teams. We have the Houston Texans at number 5. The Minnesota Vikings, who got their first loss of the season, at number 4. The Detroit Lions at number 3. The Ravens at 2. And then the last undefeated team remaining, the Kansas City Chiefs, at number 1.
Yeah, I just quickly want to talk about the Texans and why we have them over the Packers for a second. The Packers heading into this past week, in our opinion, were on the bubble in the top. They're 9, 10, 11. And they beat the Texans by 2 points on a game-winning field goal at home. And for us, it just wasn't enough to bump them over the Texans, who've looked overall better, in our opinion, throughout this entire season. So that's why Houston's at number 5. And then Ravens and Lions. Ravens got that big win over Tampa. And the Lions did beat the Vikings, which is why they jumped ahead of them. But it wasn't enough to, in our opinion, to jump over Baltimore.
Yeah, with Baltimore, not only did they beat Tampa, they beat Tampa every which way. They were better in every stat category. They just had the upper hand over Tampa, and But on the Kansas City Chiefs, I don't think the Chiefs are that good.
They're not. They're really not, especially at quarterback. Everyone's been talking about it. Mahomes is. He has, 6 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Mm-hmm. He leads the league in interceptions. It's just the fact they haven't lost yet, and they're the Chiefs.
Yeah, that's not a usual stat for Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I know.
This late in the year. So now we move on to our game of the week. So for my pick, I'm going to go with that Texans and Packers matchup that we briefly just touched up on earlier. But that was a great game all around. The Packers won on a game-winning field goal. And, I'm interested to see how this NFC North division plays out the rest of the year.
Yeah, this division's looking really fun. I mean, all 4 teams are over 500. Any one of them, you can make a case for any of them to win the division right now.
Yeah.
And as far as the Texans go in the South, they should have that division locked up. But overall, great game. My pick, I'm going to go with the Lions-Vikings game. It decided who took first place in the NFC North. The Lions won it. They now have first place in the North. And I think that they're going to, keep it for a while. They're going to take this momentum. They're going to run with it. I think that the Vikings could, bounce back, especially because they play again in Detroit, but that's going to be a tough game to win. That division is open for anyone, as we just talked about. And I think that both of those games were great games. And it was a great week compared to last week, which is pretty boring.
Yeah, that undefeated run was fun while it lasted for the Vikings. But, teams got to lose at some point.
Yep, I'm just waiting for the Chiefs.
Yeah, unless you're the 1972 Miami Dolphins. But, Well, that's it for us on the NFL. But next up is Smitty and Jake to talk about college football.
Welcome back to College Football on Left Bench Sports. A few games to cover this week from this Saturday. Let's get it started. Let's begin with Miami Hurricanes versus the Louisville Cardinals.
What a big offensive game. Am I right, Jake? Just a big offensive game by both
just a
teams.
Shootout, back and forth the whole game.
Yep.
52-45 final score.
Miami had 2 touchdowns to lead at one point in the third quarter. Louisville answered almost immediately after. Just a great game by both teams.
Yeah, it seemed like whatever happened, the other team had an answer. It was 31-17 Miami at one point. They were able to take a 14-yard lead, and then a 100-yard kick return comes. And a minute later, Tyler Show throws a 21-yard pass. So 31-31. Fourth quarter was action-packed. Smitty, what you got for the rest of the game?
Another Heisman-like performance from Cam Ward. Just he's dominating game in and game out. Just another great game for him. Every time Louisville scored, they had an answer and was able to put it together drive after drive. Miami's just a solid team, and they can go game in and game out and just beat teams. And
they've found ways to just beat teams no matter the circumstances.
Yep, and then
it's been close games, but they're coming out with wins.
Yeah, and
319 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. Pretty good game.
Yeah. Let's talk about Cam Ward a little bit. Just Heisman wise.
Yeah.
Where do you think he stands?
I mean, definitely top 3. We had Genty.
Mm-hmm.
Who is it? Travis Hunter and him. I think that's definitely the top 3 right now.
I think Millero fell out of it.
A
little bit. He's still up there, but not as much as
it feels like, Cam Ward's kind of willing Miami to the victory every single week. Another performance this week where it's just whatever Louisville had for them, he was just able to put together drives and really was just the big factor that helped Miami win this game. But for the rest of the season, Miami's looking at FSU, Duke, Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, Syracuse. So really not too hard.
They should win every game.
Be 12-0.
Yep, and go undefeated going into the playoffs.
Yeah, hopefully they do have to win the conference championship, I would think.
Yeah.
But even if they lose, I think they might be able to still make it.
Yeah, I agree. Moving on now onto one of the big ranked matchups from this weekend. Number 7 Bama taking on number 11 Tennessee in Rocky Top. Let's start this game.
Yep, same result as 2 years ago in Rocky Top. Tennessee comes out with the win. Another storm, another field rush. I don't know if that was that necessary, but that happened. It was a defensive game for really just most of the game. Dylan Sampson had a nice game on the ground. That was probably the biggest performance from an offensive player. 139 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. Once again, Bama looked really shaky. They're not playing as they were when they beat Georgia.
I don't know what happened.
No, I don't know what happened either. They're 5-2 and now ranked number 15th. They went from 1 to 15th in 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, that's just crazy.
Yeah.
I saw the Georgia game. I was like, dude, they look legit
Yeah.
this year, and then
Milrow
just fell off.
was 25 for 45, 239 passing yards, 1 TD and 2 interceptions. Not a great game for Milrow. He was only 50% on his passing. So
I mean, it was a defensive game. Tennessee has a great defense, so both quarterbacks didn't really have that accurate of a percentage, but
Yep.
definitely another shaky game for the offense.
Yeah.
Especially with Milrow.
And then Ryan Williams had another decent game, 8 receptions, 73 yards, 1 TD.
Yeah,
He's
he's
cooking up.
He's doing everything he can to help Bama win games. Unfortunately for Bama, it's not working out too well, but honestly, he's looking like a wide receiver 1. He's a stud as a freshman.
Yeah, I agree.
But rest of the year in the schedule, they have 21 ranked Missouri next, 8 LSU, Mercer, Oklahoma, Auburn. So
I think
some tough games.
I think what they're looking like now, I think they still could beat Missouri. I don't think they'll be able to beat
they
LSU.
have to win out.
Yeah, I don't think they'll be able to beat LSU. But then Mercer, Oklahoma, and Auburn, I think they definitely have to win those games.
Realistically, they have to win out the rest of the season. I think it's possible, but I also do think they do lose another game. But
yeah,
let's just move on, cover our last game quickly. Highly anticipated previous number 1 Texas versus the versus number 5 Georgia. Smitty, just want to know, what's your reaction to this one?
Just how bad Texas played that game.
In the first half, at least.
The first half, at least, both quarterbacks went in, Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning, and they just didn't play well. Like, being the number 1 ranked team against Georgia, who lost to Alabama, like, you got to come out firing, and they just didn't.
Yeah. On the other hand, Carson Beck did look a little rough too in this one. 3 interceptions. Georgia's defense was definitely very dominant. That's probably the main factor of why they won. Texas really couldn't score in the first half, and as you said, at one point they took out Ewers for Arch.
Yep.
But Smitty, just for the rest of the game, what'd you think about this one for Texas?
They didn't play a good game. That was all. That really.
Yeah, maybe a wake-up call.
Yeah.
Some people think that they're not really built for SEC. I wouldn't go that far to say that, but I think they're built for the SEC. They beat a lot of good teams. They're the second best team in the SEC. I think Georgia is just really like that. They didn't have a good start to the game against Bama. Just a little wake-up call, and I think moving on, Texas will be fine.
Yep.
But just some final stats before we wrap it up. Quinn Ewers, 200 passing yards, 2 touchdowns and interception. Once again, Carson Beck, 3 interceptions, and then Trevor Etienne had 3 rushing touchdowns. So solid game for him.
Yep.
But that's going to do it today.
All right. Thank you for watching College Football on the Highlight Reel. Stay tuned to Andrew talking about soccer next.
Hello, I am Andrew Mirzaaghasi, and I will be talking about soccer once again. Going straight off to it, we have the Premier League. The first game we're going to be starting with is Man City versus the Wolves. This was such a disappointing game for 2 reasons. And I'm not going to be angry because Man City won this game, but I expected so much more coming from it, since Man City dominates when it comes to the teams near regulation. However, this was a 2-1 game in which within 7 minutes the Wolves scored, and it was 1-0 for a while until the 33rd minute. Now, this is disappointing because I expected more goals, and I felt like that Man City was choking this game, and really I was just disappointed in general. When they eventually tied the game, it didn't take until the 95th minute where Miracle Man John Stones does it again for this team and scores in the very last minute, giving Man City a victory. It is such a disappointing game that I don't even want to describe it. It's a very terrible taste in my mouth. Now, what I thought to be the match to at least have a loss for Liverpool versus Chelsea, just turned out to be a Liverpool victory 2-1. Of course, in Chelsea fashion, they gave Liverpool a penalty in which Salah took the penalty, so that's an automatic 1-0 from there. Then even when Jaclin would tie it, within 3 minutes, Liverpool would score, giving it 2-1. So now it really didn't do anything to Liverpool. And now, speaking of Liverpool, we will go over our Premier League standings. For our standings, we have Liverpool with 21 points, Man City with 20 points, Arsenal with 17 points, Aston Villa 17 points, and Brighton in 15 points. Well, of course, since it was Liverpool versus Chelsea, Chelsea went down because of this game, and they are no longer in the top 5. And now Brighton is now in 5th place. I really hope that Man City can really cooperate with their next game, since I know they can do better. And it's just that they were kind of choking the whole game, which I just don't hope. Because the next game is Man City versus Southampton, in which Southampton is near the bottom of the standings, and I do not want Man City to choke from that. So, going from good news, or not really good news, to major news. In the MLS, Inter Miami beat New England Revolution 6-2, with Messi getting his second hat trick in a row, with his first hat trick happening with the Argentina national team against Bolivia, which I talked about the last time. They, or I should say Inter Miami, are now qualified for the 2025 Club World Cup, in which Inter Miami will represent the United States of America going into this tournament. Which honestly, congrats to them. 6-2, very impressive as always. And good luck to them in going into the Club World Cup, because there are many teams such as Man City. I know Real Madrid might be in it, but there's other teams as well. So there will be tons of competition. And all I could say is good luck, Inter Miami, because you're going to need it when you're going to verse these teams. But that's all it for soccer, but don't go anywhere, because Matt and Rocco will be talking about the NBA.
Hello, and welcome back to the NBA segment on the highlight reel. Rocco, I want to cover Tuesday's games. Knicks versus Celtics. Celtics almost had the NBA all-time three-pointers. What were your thoughts on this?
Oh, this game was just so hard to watch from start to finish. I mean, Boston just unstoppable. It's like everybody is a shot-creating sharpshooter, and everybody has Green Machine just maxed out on every cylinder. I mean, the Knicks could not stop the three-pointer to save their lives. I don't even care that the Celtics went on a missing spree. Like, I don't even have a voice because I was screaming at the TV all night long. Oh, goodness me. I had some high hopes. And listen, it's game 1 out of 82. But we look at this Knicks team. This Celtics team might be better than last year's, and they are the defending champs. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I've already had a rough week with the Jets getting curb stomped and the Knicks getting crane kicked in the face. That's no bueno, and I can't see that again. That cannot happen. But credit to the Celtics for getting that win.
Right, we had the Timberwolves and the Lakers. The Lakers take the win on this one. Any thoughts?
Loved it. Listen, I'm not the biggest LeBron James fan, but I respect what he's done over his career. I know he's one of the all-time greats, arguably the greatest, but the special feel-good moment, even if he won't amount to anything in the NBA, Bronny James being out there on the court with his father, LeBron James, that's something you probably won't ever see again, if not for a very long time, dang sure not for this century. So listen, take that and just cherish it, because I doubt you're going to see that again for a very long time. And you just look at how impactful it was for both LeBron and Bronny. It's just so special, and it's even better that they got the win. Wait till Bronny gets his first assist to LeBron, or vice versa, and his first bucket. Just wait. As for the Wolves, listen, the Wolves still be fine. I'm not worried. Got a lot of depth. Randall, DiVincenzo, nice nights for them. Like we said earlier, it's game 1 out of 82.
Right. Moving on. Yesterday we had the Cavs and Raptors, with the Cavs taking the victory. Any thoughts?
The Cavs, unstoppable. Much like Boston. Listen, the Cavs just not missing. Over 130 points. That's a lot of points if you really think about it. But listen, the Raptors are not a very good team. We knew this already. The Cavs are kind of middle of the pack. Still got Donovan Mitchell, so we know that's important too. And listen, the Cavs are just, they need better coaching. They need more scoring. They need better coaching. And if this is something that they want to keep up to into the postseason in the spring, that has to continue. And that just really, they got to put it together, because they are an incomplete team. I don't know what the missing piece is, but they're very close. They just have to find it. So, listen, Raptors, I think they'll be a lottery team again, and the Cavs, nice start for them.
Finally, we got the Bucks and the 76ers, with the Bucks win. Your thoughts on this one?
I mean, is the Greek Freak any different from when he was a rookie? Giannis is still unbelievable. Damian Lillard still has a great impact on the locker room from a veteran standpoint. The Bucks are still a good team, and I think if they're healthy, they would have beaten the Pacers, and in my opinion, probably beaten the Knicks too in the Eastern Conference semis. But look, Milwaukee is still a very good team. Giannis, as long as he is there, They're going to be contender every year. And listen, the Sixers are very good. I think Embiid, listen, amazing. Paul George, he's still got it. And Tyrese Maxey, we know he's a dog. So, listen, that's 2 elite teams, 2 teams that I think are going to be top 4 seeds in the Eastern Conference when all's said and done. And a nice start for the Bucks, and let's see if the Sixers can rebound.
Well, that's it for basketball this week, but next up is Miles and Luke on MLB.
Welcome to the highlight reel. Today we'll be talking about the World Series.
We're going to start with the ALCS, though. Yankees finish out the Guardians in 5. Game 5, end of the game, tie game. Juan Soto hits a huge home run. Down in the count, 2 strikes, just the confidence going up there, like going to the pitcher, I'm going to hit a home run. I'm going to send the Yankees to the World Series. And he does it. Judge was still struggling a little bit, been a little better, but not great. Hopefully he's better for the World Series. And no one on the Guardians really did much except Noel hit that one big home run. But Naylor and Ramirez are 2 big guys. Didn't really play well the whole series.
Yeah, Judge can thank Stanton for advancing him this far. He was the one who really carried the team. Shout out to Gleyber Torres also hitting from the leadoff spot. He was fantastic. But with that Soto home run, that just killed me as a Red Sox fan. Watching Soto just continuously foul off pitches, I was just praying for Gaddis to just put him away somehow, and then Soto goes and crushes that one for a 3-run homer. It was really just an unfortunate at-bat.
Yeah, and then we're moving on to the NLCS, where the Yankees are going to play the Dodgers, who beat the Mets in 6. Dodgers' offense is just really good. There's not much else to it. They have a ridiculous offense. Their starters are injured, but they have a really good bullpen, too. So it's going to be a tough series for the Yankees. Who do you have?
Well, I have the Dodgers winning. Well, the Dodgers won last game in last series in 6, but I have them beating the Yankees in 4. I think it's going to be a clean sweep. Dodgers bullpen, as you said, is fantastic, and that is the real difference here. I trust Michael Kopech and Blake Trinan much more than I trust Luke Weaver, who I trust. If I were a Yankees fan, I'd trust him, but I don't trust Clay Holmes. He gives you guys a heart attack every time he comes out and pitches. He has no idea where he's throwing that sinker. He just hopes it spins and hopes it doesn't get hit. But going back to the Dodgers-Mets series, it was a series of blowouts, as you said. Dodgers offense was on fire all series. Teoscar Hernandez, obviously, was raking all series. Shohei, Freeman, not as much, but hopefully Freeman with that ankle can get back to prime Freddie Freeman form. But moving on, Luke, who's your World Series MVP?
Well, I'm just going to go back there. I was trying to hear what you had to say, but there's no way you seriously think the Dodgers are winning in 4. You can't actually think that.
I think that.
All season you've been saying the Yankees bullpen is going to be an issue, and all season their bullpen has been a strength of their team and been great. The ALDS, their bullpen did not give up 1 run. The ALCS, their bullpen pitched great the entire series. When are you just going to accept that we have a decent enough bullpen, even though they don't have big-name guys? They've all pitched well.
Well, the Guardians have a terrible offense with runners in scoring position. Every game it felt like they got bases loaded, 2 men on, and they just could not drive a run in. It was always like a sac fly or a drag bunt to bring in a runner. But with the Dodgers, they can finally now just hit with runners on. It'll just make such a difference.
Okay, so I'm just going to say I think the Yankees are winning in 6. Obviously, a Yankee fan, I have to pick the Yankees, really, but I think they win it in 6.
Yeah.
And for my World Series MVP, I'm going to go with Juan Soto. He's just incredibly clutch. There's nothing else about him. It's like his confidence up there. He gets big hits home runs, hits for average, and I think he wins World Series MVP. He knows what he's playing for at this point. He's playing for $100 million every time he hits a big home run.
He's
millions
playing for
and millions.
So much.
At this point, the Yankees just have to give him whatever he wants. Go to Boris, be like, what does he want? You have to have him back next year.
Okay, so as I said, I have the Dodgers in 4. I think the Dodgers are just the better team all around. I think they have a much better lineup. I don't think they have better starting pitching, but I think their bullpen is going to carry them. And my World Series MVP, he's a wild card. It's Kike Hernandez. I think he's going to have a fantastic series. He's a utility man. He plays every day. He plays all over the diamond. He might have a fantastic defensive play in one of these games. You can't say the same for Juan Soto. And I think he's just going to be raking all series. He had a big playoffs about 3 years ago when he was on the Red Sox. Could not stop hitting. And I think he's going to do the exact same. He's going to be a Yankee killer. Tommy Edman is another guy to look out. He might be another Yankee killer. And I really think the Dodgers are just going to pull away here, hopefully.
Yeah, so you're just such a Red Sox fan. Of course you're picking a former Red Sox to an MVP. I'm surprised it's not Betts, though.
Well,
But-
Betts had a good 2018 postseason, but Kike had a fantastic 2021.
Yeah, he always kills the Yankees, but, like, out of all those guys that could come up in a big spot, he's the least I'm worried about. Like, he could always hit a big home run, but, like, they have Ohtani, they have Will Smith, they have Betts, they have Freeman. There's so many other guys I'm worried about in that lineup.
You'll see with runners on, it'll be like 2 on, 2 out, and then Kike's going to come up, and he's going to get a nice base hit up the middle to drive in 2, and the cycle's just going to keep on repeating itself.
Yeah, he does usually hurt the Yankees. A lot of guys like that do. But what the Yankees really need in the series is Aaron Judge to step up. Like, finally, we've been waiting for it. We've got you this far when you're not playing that well. Can you just get hot and hit for the series 400 with 4 home runs? Like, is that we know he can. He hits 2 home runs a game for a week, and then he looks unstoppable. He could easily do that.
Yeah. Well, it seems like Jazz also has what Judge was hitting, which is complete blindness at the plate. But hopefully, the Dodgers close it out for my sake. And obviously, you hope the Yankees unfortunately win. But that's all we have for this week. We'll see you next week on the highlight reel.